you've probably heard that Europe got a lot of aid after World War II, and they used that money to rebuild quickly. So why can't Africa do the same with all the aid that they get? Well, a big difference is that the type of aid sent to Europe was meant to build industry, whereas aid to Africa tends to kill industry. For example, Africa gets a lot of clothing donations, which sounds super wholesome, but this also kills African clothing manufacturers because they can't possibly compete against donated clothes. And ever since donated clothes started pouring into Ghana, 80% of its textiles factories have shut down. Well, the problem is that textiles are probably the single best industry you can pick to start your path towards industrialization. And a lot of the most powerful countries today started their path to industrialization with textiles, including Britain, then the United States, then Japan, then China. Over 250 years, they all chose to start with textiles because it is a low barrier to entry. It doesn't require much capital, and it's labor intensive, which provides a lot of jobs. And as you get really good at textiles, you can invest your profits into building heavier industry, so on and so forth, until you go from a humble agricultural nation to being one of the giants calling the shots on the world stage. This is exactly what those countries I listed earlier did, and this group of African countries decide that's exactly what they're going to do too. They all agree to ban donated clothes, so they can build their own textiles industries and kick off the industrialization train. A poor Rwanda is a vulnerable Rwanda, and Rwandan President Paul Kagame is sick and tired of it. Why do so many of us Africans continue to depend on others given all the resources that we have? Why do we accept endless lessons in human rights and democracy from people who never lack for excuses and justifications for their own shortcomings and even crimes? Made in Rwanda will be the next big thing. Well, he gets punished for it. Because, I'm not joking, America's second-hand clothing lobby petitioned the US Trade Representative Office to stop their ban on donated clothes, arguing that their ban would crush 40,000 American jobs, many of those jobs being the workers who collect and process the donated clothes. So the US government decides that Rwanda will now have to pay a 30% tariff on its textiles, the exact industry it was trying to build. Well, Rwanda's friends become a bit more hesitant about the ban, and they each eventually back out from the ban entirely, so that they could keep their 0% tariffs, giving them a competitive advantage over Rwanda. So basically, if you're Rwanda, you can either play nice, get 0 tariffs, but quietly let donated clothes crush your industry, or you can try and be ambitious, say no to donated clothes, get into a tariff war with the United States over it, then get abandoned by your friends, and lose international investors. Obviously, there are a lot more factors than this clothing donation story for why foreign aid doesn't always make Africa richer, including factors that are frankly just the fault of many African leaders themselves, such as corruption. But even for that, there's still more to the story because we kind of pour fuel on the corruption, sometimes intentionally. That may have to be for another video, and every nuance about this subject can't be captured in a single short form video. But hopefully I could paint a picture of how this subject is more nuanced than we think with this video, and that it's not as simple as, well, foreign aid numbered big, but Africa poor, so Africa bad.